many people get to see ethical issues in business from just like being truthful and being honest. But I think that as business people, I think that as entrepreneurs, if we start seeing the impact of doing business ethically, that cut across just the theoretical part of talking about being ethical, but seeing how it can affect our business models, our business strategies, and most importantly, the profit and loss account, which is a very important statement or business document for every business person. And you will agree with me that when you look at the African continent, you look at the public sector, you look at even the private sector, we really need leaders, business executives, and entrepreneurs who are full of integrity and character. Because why is this important? Imagine that you are always so sure that if you enter any government office, you will be served with speed and efficiency without you paying more than what you're asking for. Or you go to a government office at 8 o'clock exactly, and the civil servant you're looking at is already on seat waiting to serve you with a broad smile and excited to serve you and not behaving like a demigod. I'm just giving examples. This is what happens a lot in Cameroon. I've seen it happen here in Cameroon and a few other African countries where we have done business. And this consistently inspire us that as business people following this webinar right now, it is important for us to start seeing how we can embed ethics, especially the business form of ethics, into our operations with the mindset of pushing for good. So, what are ethical issues? In simple terms, ethics is fairness, ethics is justice, ethics is equity, honesty, trustworthiness, and equality. So if you're doing business and you're striving to be fair, you're striving to be just, you're striving to promote equity, to be honest as a person, to be a trustworthy supplier, a trustworthy employee, you are practicing ethics. And acting in an ethical way involves distinguishing between right from wrong, and always making the right choice despite the difficulties or the challenges that you may be facing in that particular situation. And just to break it down more, fairness in business dealings means that as an entrepreneur and as a business leader, you are objective and you have that interest in creating a win-win situation for both parties, whether it is between employer and employees or between the company or your business and the client. So let's assume many of us are executives and we have employees that are working for us. And if you are conscious enough to promote fairness between yourself and how you treat your employees, that is business ethics. If you are conscious enough to ensure that you promote the right working environment, you respect your employees, you talk to them by honoring them, by being clear in your expectations, by talking about their roles and responsibilities, it greatly helped them to do that. So, business ethics are moral principles that guide the way a business behaves. Now, this is very important. Business ethics are moral principles that guide the way a business behaves. So, business excellence and business success, when you talk to any business owner, they will tell you how they want to be successful. They want to record incredible results in terms of sales, expansion, having branches, and making a couple of millions and billions and so on. And it's very possible to do this. And success is reached based on ethics and hard work. That's one important piece in business that we need to pay attention to. Success and excellence in business is reached based on ethics and hard work rather than cutting corners and taking unethical actions. I'm sure some of you must have seen uh, the, the current gentleman in Nigeria who had a couple of companies, but his primary source of income was through 419 and so on and so forth. That's what the media says, of course. And he has been sentenced to 10 years in prison. So it's possible to portray success on the outside, and meanwhile you're cutting corners and you're taking on unethical actions. And one thing about unethical actions is that it will always cut off with you in one way or another. And it is imperative that executives like you must decide to make ethics a principal value of business mission and objectives, a core value of your business existence. So the entrepreneurs of today should embrace doing business ethically in order to improve their standards. One of the best ways to improve your standards is for you to respect certain ethics in that domain or business that you do that. And that's why it's important that every good structure, every good formal business, every good corporate institution should always establish a code of ethics. A code of ethics is important to enable a business to operate by and to respect. And it helps you to lay a foundation that will enable you to build trust between you and the employees. When I say you, I'm talking about you, the executive, you, a business owner, you, an entrepreneur, between you and your clients, between you and your partners, between you and your suppliers, between you and your shareholders, you and investors, any key stakeholder that is directly or indirectly affected by your business operations. You need to establish a code of conduct that your business can operate by to be able to establish this strong foundation with these key people. Now, let's look at an example. If you're a manager here, for managers, stakeholders have basic rights that should be respected, and it is unethical to violate those rights. Now, let's look at an example of these rights that you as a manager, you as an executive, you need to pay attention to and make sure that you should be ethical enough to live up to these rights as far as your business is concerned. Good. If I still have people following me, please can you indicate, say something, or indicate in the chat box so I'm sure I'm not losing people behind.
I'm following you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Peter. You can see your hand up. Thank you so much. Let me see. Thank you, Macmillan. Thank you, Sharon. Good. Now let's look at an example. Now, any executive here, any manager, any entrepreneur, maybe you soon have employees under you. You already have employees. Let's look at examples of you as a manager and how this speaks to you. Now, if you're a manager, you need to be conscious that shareholders have the right to timely and accurate information about their investments. This is a right. And if you as a manager, you always make sure that they receive monthly accounting statements on time and annual accounting statements on time, you are ethical towards your shareholders. So if you are the kind of employee that you submit reports late to your boss, to your shareholders, to your partners, you are not ethical. That's an unethical action, because it is the right of your partners and your shareholders to be able to do that. Now, the second set of people is your customers. Your customers have the right to be fully informed about the products and services they purchase. Yes, including what do I mean informed? They need to be informed about how the product can harm them or others, how the product works, the ingredients that the product, the ingredients that were used to produce or manufacture the product. So it is unethical for you as a manufacturer, as a manager of a manufacturing business, to restrict access to such information for your customers. So it is always ethical for you to have your products have all the required information that your customers need in order to use the product efficiently. Employees, as a manager, as a business owner, as an executive here, employees have the right to a safe working condition, to fair compensation for the work they perform, and to be treated in a just manner. So if you are a manager that the working environment of an employee is not safe, the compensation, that's why like in many countries, they have the minimum pay wage. If you are paying any of your staff below the minimum pay wage, it is unethical for you to do that. If you are not treating your staff in a just manner, you don't respect them, you speak to them anyhow, in a bad tone, you don't respect them as people. You don't see the humanness in them first, but you see them as subordinate. You see them as things or innate machine, like F.W. Taylor will talk about. But it's imperative that you make sure that as an ethical manager, you intentionally make sure your employees have the right to the safe working conditions, good compensation, and you treat them with respect. Suppliers and distributors, yes. Suppliers and distributors have the right to expect contracts to be respected. So if you ask, let's say you're in a business that people supply you stuff. Let's say you have a restaurant business and people supply you stuff, and a farmer supplies you tomatoes. It is imperative that when the supplies of that tomato comes, it is your responsibility to make sure that the supplier is paid, the distributor is paid on time. It is unethical for you to owe your supplier without their authorization or without a due agreement signed. So as managers, you need to be looking at all of these areas that will help you to be ethical. Now, let's talk about the common ethical issues facing our businesses today. If you are following the news and all of that, you must have seen many of these. Sexual harassment in the workplace, where executives and bosses are sexually harassing their female staff. Even female staff now sexually harassing their junior male staffs and so on. It's very popular right now. Discrimination, where you're being treated differently because of your culture, your religion, your tribe, or because of your disability. This is unethical. Social media, what does it mean? Where an employee is at work and they are browsing on WhatsApp, they are on Facebook, it is unethical. And that is why some companies have created workplace communication tools so that employees should not use WhatsApp and Facebook to communicate with fellow employees. That's why we have platforms like Slack. With Slack, because if you're on WhatsApp and you're talking, let's say there's a staff WhatsApp group and you use that as an official official platform to communicate with fellow employees, and you want to reply an important message in a WhatsApp group, one of your friends is writing you, or your spouse is writing you, or your babe boy is writing you, you are distracted, you are not committed. It's unethical for you to be on social media and doing different things during working hours when you should concentrate to serve customers or to be effective in your office. Accounting practices where people are now manipulating financial data to lie or to underlie or to overlie, to please or unplease, whatever they do. These are very common unethical issues in the workplace. And when you have unethical issues, you need to start learning how to make ethical decisions. It is the responsibility. In my experience in consulting and training, one of the most powerful decisions that every business leader, every executive needs to master how to take is good ethical decisions. Because when you take good ethical decisions, you are able to generate and sustain trust. You generate and sustain trust for two sets of people: the people that work for you or with the company and your employees. When you take ethical decisions, you demonstrate respect for the company's vision, for the company's principles, and respect for the customers. When you take ethical decisions, you prove that you're a responsible person. You assume responsibility and you do the right things. You demonstrate fairness and that you are caring, and you are consistent with good citizenship. This is the power of making ethical decision, or this is what ethical decision is all about. Now, we spoke earlier about code of ethics. Code of ethics is a document. It's one of the most important documents that every business should have. A code of ethics, you can say it is a declaration of principles and beliefs that govern how employees of a business or corporation should behave. So, for example, it could be principles like uh, you are not supposed to come late to work. You're not supposed to disrespect a fellow colleague. You're not supposed to discriminate and discriminate with anybody for against anybody because of their tribe, religion, or whatever, right? But these are important principles that binds every employee and teach them how to behave. And a code of ethics should also be inspirational and disciplinary. It should inspire trust. It should inspire consistency. It should inspire respect. It should inspire positivity. It should inspire um, belief in the vision. It should inspire connectedness, collaboration, trust between teams, a lot of things. And of course, it should have disciplinary measures. It should clearly communicate when you do this against our ethics, this is what happens to you when you go against the code of ethics. They should clearly communicate the disciplinary measures that each staff will experience if they go against the ethics. It should be all encompassing. It should cover key areas in the business, and it should be stable over time. You should be able to use it for a couple of years sometimes. That's why most code of ethics in most companies, they always update it. Please, pardon, my laptop is misbehaving. Okay, now, how can a business avoid ethical issues in the workplace? I'm sure when we're talking about ethical issues in common today in our businesses, maybe you saw some that are very popular around your working area or around a business that you know a lot about. One of the best ways to promote ethical issues in business is there should be top management support. Like the top management should excitedly support ethical behavior. The manager should be ethical in behavior. The CEO should be ethical in behavior. The board of directors should be ethical in behavior. The management committee should be ethical in behavior. If top management support and practice ethics, it will flow down the organization or the company. Secondly, there should be a code of ethics. You don't expect people to be committed to what they don't understand. Having a document that documents the ethical behaviors that the business encourage is very important. So if you are listening to this and you work in a business that there is no code of ethics, there's no formal employee code of ethics, you can go try and develop one. I may happily review that for you and correct that for you, and you can make it formal. Now, there should be ethics training. Now, one of the things that we do in our corporate training services is that we provide companies with onboarding programs. And one of the things that we provide during onboarding programs is ethical training, where we train new employees on ethical behaviors in the workplace. Of course, you should motivate the employees to focus on honesty and integrity. Maybe like during staff meeting and during special sessions, we should talk intentionally about being honest in the workplace and practicing integrity. It's very important. Why is it critical to address ethical issues in business? Number one, employees make better decisions because employees have the code of ethics that helps them to walk by because it acts like a guiding principle. Number two, the reputation of a business is promoted in the community. Imagine a business that you always hear that they cheat and they reduce quantities of rice and salt. That is everything. What you hear about them is not ethical at all. The reputation that you have for that business will not be hard. So practicing ethics in your business increases your reputation. One of the best ways to build a good brand is to practice ethics that build reputation. Next, when you address ethical issues in business, it increases the brand of the business. The brand is the perception that people have about that business. People talk good about the business. This business stands for what is right. This business respects humanity. This business respects dignity and integrity. Good. Customers love to buy from ethical businesses, and investors love to invest in ethical businesses. Yes. Let me tell you, there are some investors that will never come to you, or they will come to you and they will ask you for their code of ethics document because they don't want to invest in a business that tomorrow will have a scandal that can cause the government to shut down the company. Conscious investors love businesses that have ethics because nobody wants to invest in a business that will have scandal tomorrow. They want to see that the code of ethics and see how does this business punish unethical actions and unethical decisions. Very important. Take note of that. Ethical decisions improve customer satisfaction and profitability. Yes. Why? Because when you behave in an ethical way, employees have high morale, so they get to serve your customers consistently. When you practice ethics, it causes your employees to.
Hey, wow, Auntie Alice. You know, before they fly.
Sorry about that. Please mute your mic if you're in a noisy area. So, as I was saying, ethics improves customer satisfaction and profitability. And how does this work? When you practice ethics in the workplace, your employees develop high morale, and high morals lead to high commitment, and high commitment leads to efficient execution of tasks, and efficient execution of tasks leads to good sales, and good sales leads to profitability. That's the relationship. And ethics improves customer satisfaction because customers will trust you and do business with you. They will know that you cannot lie. They will know that any product you sell to them is a good product. You will not sell a bad product for money, but you will make sure that every product you sell is good for their health and for the purpose that they are buying for. They believe that the product you are selling to them will perform the core benefits. That is the reason why they're buying that product, and profitability is guaranteed. And of course, protection of the society. Every ethical business protects the society. Why? Because, for example, you will not promote how do they call this, dumping of refuge anyhow. Encourage your employees to respect climate change policies. You promote your employees to respect the society. You promote your employees to be ethical and behave right in the workplace and outside the workplace. So, examples of some unethical business practices: abusive behavior. So, it's important to talk about this so that you see where you are as a leader, as an executive, or you see where your company is as far as leadership is concerned. Abusive behavior is unethical. How you treat and disrespect others is unethical. Number two, employee theft. If you steal company stuff and use for personal use, you steal whatever you want to steal, maybe laptop, fuel, car, accessories, whatever that is steal and use for your personal use is not ethical. Lying to employees. If you're in a leadership position, you lie to your employees is unethical. Misleading product information for customers is unethical. You provide the wrong information. Maybe you're selling a product and you lie to the customer that this product can make you to fly. Meanwhile, this product cannot make the person to fly. That's unethical. Bribery. If you receive bribes to promote somebody, receive bribes to give somebody a job, receive bribes to give somebody a contract, that is unethical. These are examples of ethical behaviors that we need to start fighting in the workplace. So what is unethical behavior in business really? So as we conclude, unethical behavior in business refers to actions that fail to rise to the acceptable standard of business practices. Remember, a good business should have code of ethics. And that code of ethics is your acceptable standard of doing business. So any behavior that falls below this acceptable standard of doing business with your company or you personally is unethical. Or manipulating someone without his or her permission is unethical. So have business standards for yourself and for your business. Of course, we spoke about this briefly, consequences of being unethical or illegal practices in business. Employees feel ashamed or embarrassed about their company. Imagine you working for a company where the boss slept with all secretaries and they are pregnant, right? You feel ashamed with the CEO and with the company, right? It prevents cooperation and trust. Yes, other companies would like to partner with you. Employees will not trust you, will not like to work with you, and it will lead to employees low morals. Sanctions from the government regulating agency. Yes, many companies have been sanctioned because of unethical behavior in Cameroon, Nigeria, and other African countries. Of course, it leads to low sales and profitability. These are very negative consequences of unethical behavior. So how do you solve unethical issues in the workplace? Have proper onboarding session process. Have a process whereby when new employees are coming in, you teach them the company culture, you teach them the company ethics, and you teach them to respect this culture and ethics. Number two, be sure to have a clear code of conduct that you can hand to the employees. Print a code of ethics as a document and give to all employees. Let them read and know the consequences. Implement security measures like surveillance measures. You can put cameras in your office just to promote ethical issues. You can punish appropriately. Let people know that when they mess up in unethical ways, they will be punished. Human beings love pressure. So punishment is pressure, or prepared punishment, pressure them to do the right thing. All right. So please join back in shortly. This meeting forgot. All right. So we're talking about the first principle, which is trust. So as an executive, as a business leader, as an entrepreneur, one of the first principles you need to look at when you're about to make a decision and you're confused whether it is an ethical decision or an unethical decision is trust. Customers and clients want to do business with a company or with a leader that is trustworthy. So look at that decision. Will this decision promote trust between the business and the clients? Number two is quality. Quality is a good ethical principle. A dedication to high quality standards across the board shows that the company is committed to standing behind what it does and delivering the value it promises. Quality could be quality in how you serve your customers. It could be quality in your production process. It could be quality in your delivery process. It could be quality in how you talk to customers. It could be quality in how you package your product. But make sure that in every business process in your company, quality is very important in your process. Then you are respecting this principle of quality. The third one is follow through. This is talking about you respecting your promises or respecting your obligations. That's why I say that trust is built in follow through on meeting your obligations and commitment as promised. If you promise your employees good salaries, live up to that expectation. If you promise your clients that you will not have a poor customer service officer who is rude, live up to your expectation and make sure that any customer service officer you have in place should be polite, should be kind, should be humble, and should have a broad smile. Live up to your expectation. If you are doing delivery services and you tell your client you will receive this product on Friday, this time, live up to that obligation. Follow through. Make sure that you respect this ethical principle of following through with your obligations and your commitments. Number four is corporate citizenship. This whereby you need to be conscious that there are employees nowadays that are not just looking for companies that are paying well. They're looking for companies also that have a special attention to contribute positively to the society. That's why it's possible to see many people now that will prefer to work for a company that have a special interest to the society, or what we normally call impact. Many people talk about that. I would like to work for a company creating impact in the society. Impact in the society. What I'm talking about in the business world, what you can call corporate citizenship. So companies are encouraged, a profitable company is encouraged to practice corporate citizenship, or what you can call corporate social responsibility, where you are giving back to the society intentionally with the commitment to contribute positively to impact the society. The fifth principle, ethical principle that you need to look at is value creation. Yes, this is one of my favorite principles in this process. Businesses are designed to create value. So it is unethical for you to run a business that is not solving the problems of the customers. So I need to be conscious that your clients view value creation from you in different ways. To you, you could be looking at value creation from the product only. But one of your customers is looking at value creation in how you treat him or her, the customer. That's value creation for them. So how you treat a customer is value creation. How you deliver the product could be value creation. How you package the product could be value creation. How the product perform at home is how they see value creation. So we need to be conscious as executives that our customers look at value creation from different perspectives, and it is our responsibility to respect this ethical principle of value creation. The next is willingness to change. A company or an executive can only change if there is that willingness to change. If the willingness is not there, if the desire to change is not there, it is going to be difficult for a business to change. So it is imperative that you choose this principle of willingness to change. Look at your business. Where do you need to change when it comes to serving your customers? You see, companies only change if there is a willingness to change, and specifically a willingness to keep getting better. So for you to consistently be a company that respects ethics, or a leader that is ethical, or an executive that is ethical, you need to be open to change, be willing to change, and willing to keep getting better as far as business operations is concerned. And number 7 is respect. This ethical principle of respect says that regardless of titles, regardless of respect, regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of race and religion, position, or any other differences, everyone should be treated with respect in the organization. Everyone should be treated with respect in the organization. This principle is important. So these are the 7 ethical principles that, as executives, let us start practicing from today. Let us start embodying them in our operations, in our business systems, in our leadership, in how we treat employees and clients and any stakeholder that is directly or indirectly linked to our business. Now, this one is called ethical action test. Ethical action test is a set of questions that before any leader or any company wants to make a decision, like imagine that they're confused, you don't know which decision to take as far as business is concerned. You are worried whether it's the right decision or not. This is a test that you should take and ask these questions. If you have no in some of these questions, you need to be careful. So follow this test carefully. It's one of them. If you understand this ethical test, it will be easy for you to make ethical decisions consistently in your career as a business executive. Number 1 is very simple. Is it legal? Is it legal? So if you want to make a decision and you don't know whether it's ethical or unethical, is it legal? Because every business operates under a legal environment. Every business is supervised by a government ministry, a government agency, or a government department. Is it legal? Number two, does it comply with our rules and guidelines? That's why it's good for a company to have a code of ethics. This action I'm about to take, does it comply with our rules and guidelines as a business? Number three, is it synced with our organizational values? Every good business has core values. They have values that they respect and they honor. It could be the value of, in some companies, you see collaboration, you see respect, you see innovation, you see excellence, you see unity. So if you want to take a decision, you need to ask yourself, is this decision in sync with the organizational values that we represent? Next, will I be comfortable and guilt-free if I do it? Yes. There are some of us that we are so driven by conscience. If you make that decision, you will not sleep for the next 30 years or for the next 10 years. You know, there are some decisions that when you make, they will haunt you every night for a long time. And your peace of mind is very, very important. So ask yourself that question as you take this ethical test. Will I be comfortable and guilt-free if I make this decision? If I steal that company money, if I manipulate that financial statement, if I steal that computer, if I lie, if I any unethical thing that you can do, ask yourself this question. The next test that you need to ask is, does it match our stated commitments and guarantees? Yes. Does it match our stated commitments and guarantees? Are we committed or are we going to have commitments as a business? Because you need to look at this decision I want to take. Does it match our commitment and the guarantees we have given to our customers? Next, would I do it to my family member or friends? Yes. You know what you cannot do to the people that you love, you should not do it to another person. That's ethical. But it's unethical for you if you can do something to another person and then you don't do it to your family member because you are afraid that they will be hurt. If you cannot do it to your family members or to your friends, don't do it at the workplace. It is unethical. Would I be perfectly okay with someone doing it to me? If somebody does that same thing to you, will it be okay by you? And next, would the most ethical person I know do it? Would the most ethical person I know do it? Like, for example, personally, there are some things that when I want to do, I always try to ask, will my mentor do this thing? My mentor is very ethical and very honest. So if I see that it's something my mentor will not do, I don't bother doing it because I respect him and I want to be like him. You see? So you can ask yourself, maybe your dad is the most ethical person you know. Ask yourself, would my dad do this? Will my mom do this? Will my uncle do this? Will my coach, will my mentor do this? Will my lecturer do this? Anybody that you respect and you know that they have a high ethical principles, you should ask yourself, would the most ethical person I know do it? If the answer is no, don't do it. To conclude, and we can take questions. As business executives, as business leaders, as company owners, as professionals that we are growing, let us choose fairness. Let us choose justice, equity, honesty, trustworthiness, equality. Choose ethics. Choose ethics. Always choose to go for what is right. If it is not worth doing, don't do it. If it's not right, don't do it. Because fairness always pay. Justice, honesty, trustworthiness always pay. So always choose ethics as you make business decisions as an executive. If there are any questions, you can feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or you can type in the chat box and we'll react to it. Or if you have comments, please feel free to do that and we'll round up in 10 minutes. Thank you so much for following, please. Any questions?
Hello.
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Who is talking?
Hello, Eric.
Yes, Mr. Eric, please go ahead.
Yes, please. Javnyuy, please, thank you very much for the presentation. Please, I would like to know when it comes to code of ethics, and then you have memorandum of understanding or memorandum of association, and then the constitution, sometimes in the business.
Yes.
I would like to know how you can differentiate between these
yes.
two.
Good. Now,
yes.
Most of those documents, the difference is mostly in who is using it. So if you look at like constitution, constitution is mostly used maybe for when you use it for company registration, and it's very important for co-founders or the founders of the business.
Yes,
memorandum of understanding could be in a case whereby there is a possible partnership between two parties, and they want to talk about clear responsibilities of the two parties. Now, code of ethics is specifically to the employees. Now, because it's possible that one of the founder may not be among the operational employees. So code of ethics is mostly practiced for employees who are working with the business day to day. But MOUs and constitution can be very important during board meetings and founders meetings or board of governors meetings and so on. You get the point? So when it's down there, especially that's why, for example, a code of ethics is very important to the manager, and the constitution is very important to the board chairman. So it all depends on who is using it and who is it designed for.
Okay.
Good. Great question. Thank you so much. Yes, Debbie, Honoring, go ahead.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Joybert. Thank you very much for this
Network is so terrible. We can barely hear you. Honoring, we can barely hear you. We're not getting anything at all. Will it be okay if you type your question? Mangmelan, can you go ahead?
If you work for an organization or when
Right. Thank you so much, sir, for the present. My question goes off. Designing of the code of ethics.
Yes.
Is it to be done by the CEO himself, or is being done by a group of people doing to govern the company?
Good. Excellent question. Now, actually, a code of ethics is good. Let me answer in several phases. It's good to be designed by a human resource expert. But for startup entrepreneurs, since most of them don't have money to pay for experts and so on, most of them get to design it. And you can always do that. Like for most companies I work with, I have had to design the code of ethics for them. So it all depends. But it's very important that when you design the code of ethics, it's good that a human resource expert can look at it, or somebody who understands how it works. And if possible, a lawyer should also look at it. If you have a company lawyer that is representing you, especially a company that is registered, that is a legal and fully registered company. You see, so it depends. So for most startups, since it's like always a one-man army kind of thing, most of them who know that code of ethics is important, they design it. Most of them don't even have, but the few who know, they design it. For companies that are already established, when they recruit HR officers, they come and design it. For those who know that they need it and they have HR officers, they pay for experts, external experts to do it.
Okay, thank you very much, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Peter, for your question. How can we survive in a society where the lawmakers are the first to violate ethics and punish employees or entrepreneurs for breaking the same standard? Yeah, my brother, that's very, very true. We're in that kind of society. But I always say that um, focus on what you're building, especially if you're building your company, you're building your career, always choose to be on the right. Because one thing is that some of these guys that doing it, they know that is wrong. And some of them know that they are so spoiled beyond repairs. I had the privilege to be close to some of them. They want to change, but the system is so rotten that they have no way to move on. And they like to be good. They like to be ethical. They like to do right. They like to be truthful. They like to be honest. But there's a lot. But it is us that if we continue to be ethical, if we continue to do right, there's one man that it's a government official. He asked me to do something, and I refused. They wanted me to come and train one of some of their staff, and they said that for this training to go on, for me to train this, and so on, I'm supposed to sign that. They asked bribe up front. I said I don't pay bribe. So he said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the training contract to train the ministry staff, and I'm going to give him part of the, I think, 2.5 or 2 million francs. I said, I'm not going to do that. That if I'm signing my contract, the money is all mine. I'm coming to train you. You are being paid as a civil servant. And I didn't get the contract. Like 6 months after, he called and said, I respect you and I wish I could maintain stuff like that. You see, because always choose. One thing is that it's a whole system. Business is a system. One way or the other, there are things that will always catch up with you. Always think of long-term consequences. But if you're an entrepreneur, I would strongly recommend you have strong core ethics for your personal business. Build a clean business. Don't build your business on a lie. It will crumble on you someday. One thing is going to happen. Most of them can do that because they are not building structures. They come and inherited a rotten system, or it's a civil servant system. They don't care. It's not their personal company. But some of us guys, we are building on our legacy. We are building what we stand for. If they take this away from us, we don't have anything. So I prefer that, yes, the system is rotten and all of that, but it doesn't stop us from making sure that what we are building as individuals, as professionals, as entrepreneurs, is legal, is solid, and is standing. And of course, I always tell people, let's build beyond Cameroon. Let's build beyond Cameroon. Well, I had the privilege to have consulting contracts from the United States. And when they come and check the things that we do, it's easy. They respect it. They respect our ethics. They respect our professionalism. They respect how we work. They respect our truthfulness and our trustworthiness. So if you fit yourself just within Cameroon, you'll be so discouraged. Trust me, I understand where you're coming from. But if you build right, build clean, build solid, and you build to stretch out there, it will benefit you in the long run, and you'll build something that will be sustainable for several years to come. It is the systems and the structures that are clean that makes a sustainable company. Honoring question says, how do you act when your company has a code of ethics imposed on you, but doesn't use it in their relations with others? Okay, so if I understand you well, it's like the code of ethics is like a decoration. They don't use it for everybody kind of thing. That's already a situation whereby the top management is not supporting a culture that respects ethics, honesty, and integrity. And in that kind of a company, one of the things that you have to do is you have to make sure that the decisions you are making, whatever they do, you make sure that you are doing your work according to the code of ethics. Because remember, you are building a long-term career, and don't let a situation in which is just a moving piece in your career destroy you, because you never know tomorrow. You never know what will come out in the lamplight tomorrow and can affect you negatively. So in that case, do your part. And as I always say, always be the one preaching the good things. Yes, they'll do that. Always talk about the benefit of respecting the code of ethics for everybody. Always raise awareness, because see, don't be surprised. There are many people that behave in a way that is negative because they don't know how to behave in a way that is good. Don't be surprised. I have seen it a lot in my work. But when you teach them how to do, you raise awareness on some things, they get the importance of it. And sometimes it takes a while to help somebody unlearn what is wrong because they have learned it for a long time. They need to unlearn for a while. And you need to be consistent in teaching and all of that and being an example and respecting the ethics. Remember, the ethics are first good for you as a person because you never know what can happen that can prompt an internal review, internal auditing, or whatever that can happen. And your hands will be clean because you are respecting the code of ethics and you are doing the right things. Okay. Any other question? Thank you so much for that question, Honoring. Any other question? Okay. If there's no question, thank you so much, everybody, for joining this my webinar. I really appreciate your participation, your questions, and all of that. And this video will be uploaded. This recording will be uploaded on the YouTube channel, and I will share the link to you should in case you want to catch up with it. Okay, one last question: why do some companies and businesses continue to behave in an unethical way when they know the consequences? Well, it's simple, because they know that they control certain powers. That's one of the easiest explanations. And they know that, and it's also short-sightedness because they believe as if the people that can cover their asses up will always be in power, always be in that position forever. We have seen companies in many other countries, from Ghana to Nigeria, back even to the US, Zambia, and many African countries, whereby a minister steps down and a lot of unethical issues start rising in some corporations, some multilateral corporations and so on. And it leads to a lot of dismissals and reorganizations and a lot of shame and so on. And again, it takes a lot of people who understand the power of ethics and who decide to choose to do the right things to help a company like that to rise and do the right things. Because a company, if the leader, the top management does not support ethical behavior, then that company is bound to consistently behave in an unethical way. But trust me, I can give you case study by case study by case study of global companies, continental companies, and local companies, how unethical issues have always caught them in the wrong way, and either they were bankrupt or customers ran away from them and they could not make money again and they shut down. Unethical behavior, especially when it's the whole company, always lead to a bad situation. It may take time for some companies, but someday it's going to happen negatively because it's a seed. Behavior is a seed. You will reap under what you're sowing as far as ethics or unethical issues are concerned. Okay, thank you so much, everybody. And let's stay in touch in the WhatsApp group as I will share this link, and let's continue to connect and meet new people. Thank you, and God bless you.